There's one question on everyone's mind.
Wait, what is that? Is that Thor? Why is Thor crying? Why was Thor crying? Why was Thor crying?
That happens in the distant future.
Why is Thor crying? Quick,
Do not speak to her. You have some important future purpose to serve.
With Thor, he holds God of Thunder.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Ryan Reynolds released more deleted scenes and outtakes of his scene with Thor in the movie. Chris Hemsworth was posting about the scene, so we'll break it all down. One of the big running gags across the entire movie is Deadpool keeps asking Paradox why Thor was crying and keeps mentioning Thor, God of Thunder, under his breath multiple times. Even though it is a joke, it is meant to set up Deadpool's future in the MCU Marvel movies after this. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. This is just the beginning of deleted scenes and outtakes. Ryan Reynolds seems like he releases new deleted scenes like every single day. They recorded so many different jokes and references that didn't make the final cut. They have enough material to re-release an entire Deadpool movie if they wanted later this year. But he just released this picture of the Thor scene in the movie, revealing that Chris Hemsworth was not on set for the final version of this that wound up in the actual movie. When Deadpool comes to the TVA for the first time, Paradox gives him the whole pitch speech about joining the TVA to save the main MCU timeline, the sacred timeline he calls it. We learned about that during the Loki series. But the whole reason why Paradox did that was because he says the powers that be at the TVA after the events of Loki Season 2, which are basically like the TVA generals, deemed that this Deadpool, like the main Deadpool from the X-Men movie timeline, Universe 10005, was important for future events and had to survive no matter what. Like whatever happened to his timeline, he had to survive.
My superiors deemed you special. Clearly not special in a good way, but apparently you have some important future purpose to serve.
They introduced this whole twist with the anchor beings, which I think is important for their Molecule Man style plot they're adapting for Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 Secret Wars. People have been wondering about that. That's like a whole separate concept. So just keep that in the back of your mind for now. Like anchor beings will be a big plot twist in future Marvel movies. But one of the big jokes in the movie is that the main X-Men universe timeline of movies is dying. Fox Marvel is dying because Logan was the anchor being there. The larger joke being that the Fox X-Men movies depended way too much in real life on Hugh Jackman's popularity as Wolverine to sustain them. And now that he's dead in that universe because he dies at the end of the Logan movie, those subsequent Fox X-Men movies outside of Deadpool, because it earns so much money, aren't earning enough money because interest has gone from the main X-Men movies. It's meant to be a big fourth wall breaking joke about the end of Fox Marvel, R.I.P., and a gag about Ryan Reynolds surviving the Fox Disney buyout. Like, we have to save this Deadpool, you're important for future events in the main MCU timeline, so you have to survive. A big joke about the Fox Disney buyout and Kevin Feige bringing Ryan Reynolds to the MCU proper, which is also why he says, "Suck it, Fox," right after this.
Suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland.
But during that whole pitch speech where he's showing him the MCU sacred timeline with scenes from all the Avengers movies, the Captain America movies, they're all really funny. Deadpool sees Thor crying and cradling a dying Deadpool. Keep in mind the context is supposed to be these monitors are all depicting events from inside the main MCU timeline. So this is meant to be a scene of them in future MCU Marvel movies. The whole conversation about Thor and Deadpool and him being important to the event in the future that Paradox hand waves over, like, we can't talk too much about that. You're not supposed to know about that yet, is meant to be an event that happens inside the MCU. That's the whole point of the joke. But it's basically them saying that Deadpool is going to be important to future Marvel movies. Most of us, after the movie, came to the conclusion that that was a teaser for Avengers 5 Doomsday or for Avengers 6 Secret Wars. That would be the logical place that Marvel would have planned to actually have Deadpool interact with the Avengers characters. But if you look at the scene really closely, it does seem like Ryan Reynolds and the people who did the visual effects for Deadpool and Wolverine just photoshopped Deadpool into the scene from Thor: The Dark World where Thor was cradling Loki's dying body. He thought he was dying. It turned into a big joke and a trick that he pulled that they paid off during Thor Ragnarok. But if you look closely at Thor in the scene, notice that Thor is wearing his suit from Thor: The Dark World, but he does have his scar over his right eye from Avengers Infinity War. So it's like they took the scene from Thor: The Dark World, photoshopped Deadpool into it, then also messed with Thor's face a little to update it, making it seem like a totally new scene from Avengers Secret Wars. and is meant to imply that Deadpool will eventually join the Avengers. That was part of Paradox's bait for Deadpool to join the TVA.
Time in the future, which may very well need to be avenged.
Assume I'm going to Marvel Cinematic, it feels?
After the movie came out, Chris Hemsworth also got in on the joke by posting this, that he could also keep secrets, like he wasn't going to tell anyone why he was crying in the scene. Ryan Reynolds responding with an Aussie joke, which was also meant to be a Hugh Jackman Wolverine joke, because Hugh Jackman is also an Aussie, like Chris Hemsworth. Then when Ryan Reynolds started releasing all the behind the scenes, the outtakes for this particular scene, you notice that it's not Chris Hemsworth cradling his dying body, it's a stunt person wearing a motion capture suit so that the visual effects people could put Thor's body on top of his. This is actually the same way they do the Hulk in all the Marvel movies, Ultron, the new version of Kelsey Grammer's Beast during the Marvels movie. They'll also be doing the new Ben Grimm thing like this during the Fantastic Four movie. I literally just did a whole video about that because we got another first look at them filming the Fantastic Four movie in a couple big scenes. But it sounds like there were a couple versions of this Thor scene in the movie that they did with alternate versions of what we saw, like just Deadpool interacting with the Avengers characters to tease his role in the future Avengers movies, the future MCU movies. But the important thing is that the scene was meant to be real in the context of the movie. Paradox was really showing Deadpool his own future. That part was not a lie. Like, this event was happening in his future. Next big question, obviously, is how will Marvel use Deadpool and Wolverine and any of the other returning characters from the movie like X-23, for instance, during future Marvel movies like Avengers 5 and Avengers 6? We're mostly talking about the future Avengers movies, but like there are other future Marvel movies that we could see those characters appear in. Marvel's original plan for them before Deadpool and Wolverine came out and made more money than Captain America Civil War. As of me posting this video right now, it's currently the 7th highest earning Marvel movie of any kind from any studio. That's how much money it's earned. It's almost earned as much as Avengers Age of Ultron. Before all the hype and the dump trucks of money rolled in, Kevin Feige's reported plan was to wait till Secret Wars to bring Deadpool and Wolverine back to the MCU movies, because logically, that movie is kind of like an Avengers Endgame level upgrade to what we saw with the crossovers in Deadpool and Wolverine with all these different characters from different universes. Like, imagine what we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, but then throw in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, all fighting against God Emperor Doom, Robert Downey Jr. But this was back when Avengers 5 was still Kang Dynasty and Kang was still like a really, really big character. So remember, it was going to be a completely separate movie before Robert Downey Jr. signed a new contract to come back and they started to make it as Doomsday. On top of that, since Deadpool and Wolverine became so popular, earned so much money, they're definitely going to make both of them do this until they're 90. And they want to bring them back sooner before Secret Wars. Right now, if you just look at Marvel's current release schedule between now and Secret Wars coming out, the place it makes most sense to do that would be during Avengers 5 Doomsday in May 2026. It's not even that far off. That movie is supposed to loosely adapt a version of Time Runs Out from the comics. It'll be different. Like I said, Anchor Beings will probably figure into that plot because I'm not expecting them to do Molecule Man from the comic book Time Runs Out. If you haven't read that story, it's fantastic. It's basically the lead up to the version of Secret Wars that they'll also be loosely adapting for the Avengers Secret Wars movie in the MCU. They won't be exactly like the comics, they'll be changing a lot of stuff, but it'll feel a little bit like those two big stories. Avengers 5 will mostly be Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom versus the new Avengers inside the MCU, but there'll probably be like a little bit of multiverse stuff, and they're releasing the movie back-to-back, year-to-year with Secret Wars, just like Infinity War and Endgame, so they're basically a two-part story. Just like comic book Time Runs Out was part of a larger story with the more recent version of comic book Secret Wars. So keep in mind, at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, like as of right now, present-day MCU, they're all still in the main X-Men universe at the end of that movie, meaning that at some point during Avengers 5, they'd have to touch on what's happening in these other universes that all get combined into a single reality before Avengers Secret Wars starts. That would be the really easy way to include them in the movie without having to completely shoehorn them in with another multiverse travel to the MCU where they face Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. They can save them actually joining up with an Avengers team, like a multiverse Avengers team, till Secret Wars. My early guess right now is that Marvel wants to be able to market Deadpool and Wolverine as being in Avengers 5 just to build on the hype, like you want to see this movie because Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is going to be in it, but also Deadpool is coming back and so is Wolverine coming back. So as long as they have some minor role in that movie towards the end of that movie, just to explain how they wind up crossing over with all the other characters before Secret Wars, it'll be fine. I am sure there are teams of people trying to figure out how they can bend over backwards to get them into the MCU for Avengers 5, even just a little bit. They've also got to explain how Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom comes to the main MCU to fight the new Avengers. He's supposed to be the main Doctor Doom of the Fantastic Four that we'll see in that movie. That's supposed to be the first time we'll see his Doctor Doom, but I think he'll have the mask on when we see him for the first time. We won't actually see him without the mask until Avengers 5. But after Secret Wars, I think the plan is for Deadpool to permanently come to the MCU. Like post-Secret Wars, Marvel's planning on doing that soft reboot of the MCU, cleaning up a lot of continuity, bringing all the characters that they want to use most of the time to the same Earth. They're also supposed to be recasting some of the actors that they want to recast, like some of the characters, then doing a more mutant-based saga in Marvel Phase 7, focusing on more like the brand new characters that we haven't seen too much of in the MCU, namely X-Men characters. There have been some teasers for mutants in the MCU, like a couple of them, but not like really big, giant teams of X-Men yet. Deadpool fits into all those plans perfectly. He is a mutant. He needs to cross over with more X-Men characters, even in an X-Men movie, even if it's just briefly. And if they eventually do Deadpool 4, which I'm sure they eventually will, that movie would probably take place entirely in the MCU, because one of the biggest Marvel jokes during Deadpool and Wolverine is that people are getting tired of the multiverse trope. So just do not expect to see a ton of multiverse stuff after Secret Wars.
No. With the whole multiverse thing, it's not great. It's just been miss after miss after miss.
But generally, this whole joke scene of Thor cradling Deadpool's dying body, him joining the Avengers, I do not think that he will actually join the real Avengers. I think they'll just continue to joke about it like they did at the beginning of the movie, where they turned him down. Like, you know what? We don't need Deadpool. We're fine without Deadpool. And he'll just wind up fighting with them on this giant team they put together, but they will give them an Avengers Assemble kind of moment. It's kind of like the Endgame scene where they did the big Captain America Avengers Assemble moment. Technically, all those people in the portals together, even though Captain America was telling all of them Avengers Assemble, all of them are not Avengers characters. Like, there is a smaller core group of actual Avengers characters. If you really want to get technical with it, like all these many other lesser characters in the background are kind of like honorary, temporary for this one battle Avengers. But everyone let me know in the comments, when Deadpool does start interacting with the other Avengers characters, what do you actually want them to be doing? I'm expecting many jokes because it will be Deadpool, but it'll probably be more PG-13 as opposed to R-rated Deadpool stuff. Kevin Feige asking Deadpool to lay off the blow again, but this time because the movie's PG-13. We're talking about Avengers 5, Avengers 6, Secret Wars now. Side note too, if they wind up making Deadpool 4, that would also be rated R. They did say there would be future rated R movies in the MCU, just based on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine being such a successful R-rated movie. My real hope is that if the Blade movie does eventually wind up getting made, they'll let that be rated R. Shout out to Wesley Snipes for being the godfather of the MCU with an R-rated Marvel movie. You may have also just seen the news that Josh Brolin might be the new version of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, inside the new James Gunn DCU. I'll probably do a video about that tomorrow, because if that winds up happening, you would not hear the end of it if Cable shows up in Deadpool 4, crossing over with Ryan Reynolds. Just imagine the jokes. There's a bunch of stuff coming up. We're getting Agatha episodes in the next couple of weeks. I'll be doing videos for that. We have Penguin episodes over in the DC universe, the Batman universe. I'll be doing episodes for that as well. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Click here for more Deadpool and Wolverine deleted scenes and alternate endings, and click here to learn about Scarlet Witch coming back to the MCU through the Agatha series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.